Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and I'm going to give you an update today on my in-ground yellow or red cherry guava. This is Obsidian Cattleyanum species. Now, when this plant, when I originally bought it, was mislabelled by the nursery selling it online. It said it was Obsidian guava, which is the true tropical guava, and of course when the plant arrived I knew that it was Obsidian Cattleyanum, but there's no way to know whether it's the yellow or red variety. Now, I did feature this when it was covered in snow a week ago, and quite a lot of the growth looked quite a bright green still, with just some burning to the tips. But as I've said before, you can quite often with these subtropicals and less hardy plants, there's a delayed effect. You can look at your plant and think it looks fine, and then a week later, or even as long as a month or two later, you can find this happening to the plant and a rapid deterioration. Now, these leaves are not meant to be this dark browny red colour. This is cold damage. Now, interestingly, the biggest enemy of these strawberry guavas, whether or not this is a yellow or red one, we won't know unless it recovers and flowers and fruits one day. The biggest danger to them actually is probably root rot. You can have them in a cold greenhouse and they can still keel over in winter if the roots are too wet. Now, I've got this planted on a mound in very well drained soil when I planted it out, so I don't actually think that the main issue for this one is going to be root rot. The problem's going to be the amount of damage that has been done to the plant tissues within these woody stems. It's not even the leaf damage that's an issue. You don't know what's going on underneath this thin surface. Now, if the xylem and phloem tubes and the plant cells have been ruptured by freezing, because a lot of these plants that are borderline hardy don't have enough natural antifreeze in the cells to stop them freezing, which is why they can take a few weeks to recover. In fact, I can look down here and see the sort of issues you're going to get, and this happens with citrus as well. I've just looked here and you can see that the plant, the main stem, is badly split. Now, that is a result of the stem of the tissues freezing underneath the bark and forcing the bark apart, and it's cracking all the way up to here. Now, it's a fairly safe bet. We're only in December at the moment. We've still got January and February to come, which are generally considered to be worse months than December. So there could be an awful lot more cold weather to come, and it's more than likely that this plant will die back way below that point, because once those stems have split apart, you know you've got damage with the tissues underneath. So I would think that we will lose. I'm not talking about flaking bark, that's different. Where the bark flakes, that's natural on guavas. But I think it's very likely that plant's going to die back below that point, if not to the ground. Now, right at the bottom of the plant, the stems that are really low down have been sheltered by all the stems above, aren't showing the same level of damage. But if it was March, I'd be happy that we were going to see some recovery from lower down on the plant. And after all, this is an experiment to see what an unprotected plant, if it might survive outside. So I'm extremely pessimistic now about the state of this, because this looks like it's on the way out. And I thought a few days ago that it was just stem tips that have been burnt, but you can now see that the damage to the leaves goes all the way back down, and the cracking on the stem shows the damage is right down on the main trunk, and that's what kills a lot of plants like citrus. You can look at your plants and think they're fine, and then at a later point you find out the main stems have split the bark further down, and that's quite often the death knell to something like a subtropical, which you think at first may have survived the winter without any serious damage. But we'll see what happens. This is purely an experiment to see what a completely unprotected strawberry or lemon guava will do in ground. And had this been underneath, if I'd had canopy cover, if it's been planted underneath large trees, it's quite possible that the plant might have done better. But of course the problem is it wasn't just frost and snow, it's the fact that the air temperatures were dropped down to -7, and that can cause, as I said, freezing of sap in subtropical plants, because they don't have the concentration of they don't have the antifreeze properties or high sugar content that hardier plants naturally have, which is why they get protection. The hardier plants aren't affected by the cold weather that seriously damages plants like this. Anyway, I thought that would interest people to do an update on a subtropical planted outside in ground. Doesn't look very good, and as I said, we're still in December, so we've got January and February to go. If this had just happened at the end of February, I probably wouldn't be so worried, because I'd be thinking we're heading towards warm weather. So that's a yellow or red strawberry guava in ground. No way to know what colour variety it is. One of them is alleged to be hardier than the other, but I haven't seen documented proof of that, or scientific proof. That just seems to be a rumour or an old wives' tale or urban myth that's been perpetuated by people, that one of the two is hardier, but I can't actually remember whether it's the yellow or red one that's claimed to be tougher. So thanks for watching the video, I much appreciate it. I'm glad it was nice enough for me to get out and be able to do one before going to work. Please do give me a thumbs up. You can share the video if you think it might be of interest to anybody who's trying to zone push. Please subscribe to my channel, and remember to click on the bell if you like updates on new videos when they come out. I'll catch up with you all soon. Brett out for now.